last but not least, we'll focus briefly on the Southeast Asian market, where, as Vanessa mentioned earlier, a number of trade fairs are foreseen under the program, mainly in Malaysia, where we'll have two fairs, the Malaysia International Halal Showcase and the Asia Water Expo fair. We'll also have a fair in Singapore, Tech Innovation, and another in Thailand, Metalex, in 2018. ASEAN itself is a broad and diverse region. As you see on the slide, roughly 600 million people. So this is a region with a population larger than that of Europe. And interestingly, obviously, for many of the EU SMEs and for business people in general, is that obviously GDP is developing extremely quickly in the region, with a doubling over 7 years, as you see there, from 2007 to 2014. If we look at the region as a whole, as I said, it's a very diverse, heterogeneous region. Let's focus in particular, as I mentioned, on Singapore and Malaysia, the two markets that we'll be targeting specifically with trade fairs on the Overseas Trade Fair program. And looking at those two markets, Singapore, you can see, is a high-income market with GDP per capita significantly above the average, even in Europe or the US, and growth that outpaces the growth that we know in developed markets. Malaysia is what we would categorize as an upper middle income market, along with Thailand, that will also be focused on under the program. And these markets in particular, as they start from a relatively strong base and have high growth rates in terms of GDP growth, as you see on the slide, closer to 5% than the European markets as things stand, obviously present a lot of potential for European companies. If we look at the breakdown of the, or in terms of sectors in those various Southeast Asian markets, and again I'll focus on Singapore and Malaysia in particular, obviously Singapore is very much focused on services. This is an economy that's extremely developed, extremely integrated with the region, and is considered as a regional hub and an entry point. It's consistently ranked as the easiest place on earth to do business, and really can be considered, as said, as a hub for European companies to do business and branch out into the region from. In terms of IPR protection, in terms of the rule of law, etc., companies can expect to be as well off there as they are in the EU. When it comes to Malaysia and Thailand, obviously higher upper middle income countries developing quickly, as mentioned, potentially less developed in terms of the services industries. As you see there, those represent about 50% of GDP in Thailand, and a little less at 44% in Malaysia. And slightly more focused on industry. So Thailand, for instance, well known as a regional manufacturing hub for the automotive sector, for Asian automotive manufacturers. Malaysia, very much known as well for its industry. And these really are sectors with growth potential. Malaysia also, in terms of agriculture, and same thing for Thailand, is an advanced regional economy. Besides the website on which you'll find all of the information on the Overseas Trade Fair programs, there is, of course, our Twitter account, our LinkedIn group, but most importantly, I think, our email help desk account, at which you can ask any question.